Welcome to the Powerhouse. Now, this week's first guest has been described to us as the Leonardo da Vinci of modifying.
Praise indeed. His creations have been well documented, and although he works exclusively with Volkswagens, anybody can appreciate what he does.
The company's Dub Sport, and the man is Ian Birch, and he's right here with us today. Ian, hi, welcome to the show.
Hello, Dave.
Nice one. Right, lovely Polo here. Great big wheels on it, 17s.
Yeah, 17-inch wheels on it.
Big brakes.
Yeah, it's 4-pot wheel woods on there.
And single wipe conversion, yeah?
Yeah.
But this car's got a big secret, hasn't it?
That's it. It's what's under the bonnet.
Under the bonnet, there's a VR6. Now, I believe that the Germans and the magazine said it couldn't be done.
That's right, yeah.
So how did you do it then?
Well, we got a brand new car, took it to the workshop, took the original engine out of it, which was a 1 litre, and then we started work on fabricating the engine bed to take the VR6 unit.
What, is that because of the sheer weight of it?
Yeah, it's a lot heavier engine, and it's also a Polo engine's mounted on the inner wings, so we had to fabricate an engine bed to take the weight.
Blimey, well, you've done a good job. So nothing had to be actually cut out or anything to physically take the...
Yeah, we've had to cut the front panel out, slight modifications to the inner wings. Took about a month to do.
But does it make obviously it makes a big difference, but I mean, is it a huge difference to the speed?
It is a huge difference, yeah.
What kind of horsepower do you think this thing's running on?
Well, when it was first bought, brand new, it was a 45 brake engine. It's now about 190 brake horsepower.
That speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Crikey. But, you know, could you do this if I came in with a Polo, said, Ian, I want to go mad Polo, to be honest with you, I want 190 brake. Could you do this for me?
We could do it again, yeah. It can be done, but it is expensive.
How much would it cost, you think?
It'd be in the region of about 6,500 to convert.
Is this what you predominantly do, this kind of stuff?
We do this sort of stuff if the customers want it. We mainly do, our main work's run-of-the-mill service and repairs. This was built originally as my own car.
Oh, right. So why'd you get rid of it then?
Kept it about 6 months, and then it was time to do something else.
You got bored of it, didn't you? Well, Ian, I mean, it's absolutely awesome. It really is. And if you could do anything with a 1 litre Fiesta, just let me know if that's all right.
So a short briefing just to explain how to climb in and out of the cars and explain some of the controls. Okay, very easy to climb in and out. Always use the roll bar to steady yourself as you climb in and out. And the first stage is simply to step onto the seat of the car. Okay. When you go down to actually climb into the car, you'll find there's a double skinned part of the bodywork at the back here. Okay, that's the only part of the bodywork that will take your weight. Right. All right. No, don't use the thin part at the front. Okay. So actually go down into the car. Keep both legs straight, and you need to put both legs into the car together. Yeah. All right. And you just slide down and into the car. All right. Easy. What we'll do is just take the top of the car off, and then you'll be able to actually see the controls so while I explain them to you. Okay, pedal layout is the same as you'll find in a normal road car. All right. If you squeeze your toes together, you'll be able to feel the steering column that runs down the middle of the car, and then you can find the brake and the clutch. You can see the problem straight away when you're wearing white shoes. Yeah. All right. When you actually go for the brake, make sure you get your foot tight up to the steering column so that you miss the accelerator when you brake. Okay. Likewise, when you go for the accelerator, get your foot right across.
Right, so David, we've just finished our lapping sessions in the Imprezas and the Formula Fords. How did he get on? How do you think he got on? Sue?
I felt I was better in the Formula Fords than I was in the Imprezas, and which is strange because I always wanted to drive saloon cars, but I felt I was better in the lower down, smaller steering wheel. I felt better in those, felt more confident.
Yeah, you got into that quite quickly, didn't you? And David?
No. No, the Subarus were much more fun for me.
Well, Dave loves this Polo. It's a bit luxurious for me, which makes Dave a bit of a wuss. But for me, this is my car over here, Ian. It's obviously a Mark 1 Golf, but the first thing we notice is, where's the engine gone?
We've put the engine in the back in this one, and we've put a fuel tank in the front.
And of course the radiator as well.
That's right, the radiator at the front to cool the rear engine.
Excellent. Now, we've got the big brake servo there for the huge dish that it's going to take to stop this thing. Now, the action end right up here at the back. Ian, what is it?
It's 3 litre VR6 turbo. It's 440 brake horsepower, and it's seriously quick.
I can imagine. Now, putting the engine in the back, you're going to have done something to the shell. What's it entailed?
That's right. We started off, first of all, we cut the floor pan away, strengthened all the chassis rails. Then it went to Wales, where a full roll cage has been fitted to strengthen the shell to take the power.
What about suspension geometry? Is it throwing anything like that out?
All the suspension geometry is fully adjustable, so you can adjust the track and the camber on it, so you can get it lined up bang on.
Now, what's that going to handle like, a rear-wheel drive Mark 1 Golf?
At the minute, it's a handful. It's 440 brake, which is a bit too much for it, really. So it's having a traction control and a limited slip diff and launch control as well.
Excellent. I can't wait till that happens. Now, we've actually seen this car in full flight, Ian, as you well know. If you want to come across and see, Dave, we'll have a look at what that looks like.
Right.
Dave?
You've really, really got to see this car to believe it in action. I'm so glad you came down in. Did you have a good time when you came down?
We did, yeah. Great day out.
It was good fun. If you thought that was good, you just wait till you see what we've got coming up in part 2. It's going to blow your mind, honestly, the fastest car I've ever seen. Now, until lately, Volkswagen never used to use turbochargers. They always went for the superchargers. Turbochargers, superchargers, it's all gibberish to me, to be honest, but if there's one man that knows what it's all about, it's our very own Professor Piston.
Hello, children. Professor Piston. Professor Piston broke, actually, but we won't go into that, eh? Well, I've been asked to come here and explain to you the difference between superchargers and turbochargers. Yes, back in the early days of motoring, they came up with this supercharger, powered by a belt from the engine. You see, belt, turny, turns a little rotor, which sucks in air, and blows it back into the engine, increasing the air-fuel mix and creating more power. Problem is, at higher rev range, you're draining power from the engine, so they came up with this, the turbocharger, this time powered by exhaust gases. Exhaust gases go from the manifold through this little rotor, spinny, sucking in air and blowing it back into the engine for more power. Problem is, of course, that at low revs you don't get much exhaust gases and therefore you get lag. And then suddenly it'll start spinning and you get a whoosh of power and you shit yourselves, don't you, children? Hey? Well, that's all for me today, so I'll see you next week. Bye, children.
Professor Piston there, he will be back next week, but for now we're going to have to take a short break. After the break, we are going to have the final Ian Birch creation.
Hi, it's Barry and I'm back. Well, what I want to know is why do people put their fog lamps on when it's not foggy? Because you're not supposed to use your fog lamps unless you can barely see beyond your bonnet. But these people, they have their fog lamps on, they're trundling along at 30 miles an hour and you come over the brow on a motorway and you see this thing and think they've got the brakes on, then you put on the brakes and the guy 3 inches behind you is up your arse and you've got an accident. And I've noticed that the people that have these little fog lamps on also have child on board stickers in the back window. And when you get close enough to read it, you're blind, aren't you? And then you hit them.
Welcome back to the Powerhouse. As promised in part 1, we have the final car from the Birch stable. And this one, as the rest, is completely different. This one has 2 engines. Ian, will you talk me through this, please?
Yeah. It's 2-litre 16-valve engine with a gas-flowed head and a pair of twin Delorto 45 carburetors on it.
No, the 2-litre wasn't standard until the Mark III. What is that?
That's right. The engines in these are actually out of an Audi with the 16-valve head on top of that.
Right, so what sort of power do you think you're actually getting from that?
It's getting 200 brake horsepower.
Wow. So is that both engines 200 horsepower?
Yeah, they're 200 horsepower each, yeah.
OK, now I notice you're running very big alloys on the front and the rear. What sort of sizes are we talking about there?
The 8x15s on the front and 9x15s on the rear.
Why have you gone for such large wheels on the back?
Just to help with traction and the handling of the car.
Right. Now, to get those in, I notice you've gone for the wide arch option. Have you bought those in?
Yep, they've come from direct from Germany, those.
Right, and DTM wing mirrors, a nice little touch, I like that. Have they been bought in as well?
They've been bought in, yeah.
OK. I just want to ask you a quick question about how did you get the 2 engines to run? Can you run them independently or do you have to run them both at the same time?
No, if you're just running around, you just use the front engine. If you want to engage the rear engine, you basically just connect the gear linkage cables up and turn the ignition switch on and you're away. They're both running.
What sort of problems have you come across in trying to actually get these to link up?
The only thing you've got to worry about is that they both select the same gear and that the throttle cables are correctly adjusted.
So you've got one throttle actually running both engines?
It's one throttle pedal, but two individual cables.
Right. I just want to know, what are the 2 reservoirs on the front in front of you?
They're for the hydraulic clutches.
And the 2 dials?
One's for the front engine for the rev counter and the other's for the rear engine.
Right. OK. Just moving down to the second engine. Is it exactly the same as the other engine that's in the front?
It is. It's the same spec engine. It's 2-litre 16-valve, and it's also got nitrous as well.
Is that just running the rear engine, the nitrous?
It's not, no, the nitrous is on both engines, front and rear.
Right, and I mean, a tiny little touch has got to be these 2 huge exhaust pipes coming out of the back. Where did that idea come from?
The Lotus Elise has them coming out the back like that. It was took down to Scorpion in Nottingham, and they handmade the exhaust system for it.
Wow. And yet again, I take it as the Mark 1 that we saw in the first part, you've had to have the shell exactly the same?
Yeah, exactly the same. Same cutting out, same strengthening, same roll cage.
Wow, I mean, it's absolutely awesome. How does this handle compared to the other car?
This is a lot easier to drive because you've got they've got the rear engine driving the rear wheels, front engine driving the front wheels.
Right.
So it does handle well.
So it's as good as having 4-wheel drive,
That's
basically?
It, yeah, it's 4-wheel drive when you want it.
But without the problems of a differential?
That's it, yeah.
Right. Now, I've got to say that Ian has taken this car down to the track and it blew everything else out on the track away. Now, Dave's got that tape over there. Ian, thanks very much for coming along to the track, and thanks for bringing 3 fabulous cars here today. Next time you've got a bright idea, give us a ring. With our final car of the day, here's Dave.
Okay, summer's allegedly meant to be on its way to us now, but I don't really believe it. That means we're going to see project cars coming out of garages like you've never seen before. There's obviously the Diablos with thousands spent on the systems. There's going to be Chrysler Voyagers with TVs coming out their ears, and there's going to be the obvious Rover 100s. Rover 100s, that's right. And this is Simon Fraser, and he owns this particular one. Now, Simon, you're mad. You are mad. There's no doubt about that, yeah?
100%.
£8,000 spent on this car's in-car entertainment. Simon, how did you get started off?
Introduced by my mates at first, saw their systems, came to come in my own car, thought I had to have one.
Unbelievable. And it must be like an addiction. I mean, you just keep building it up and building it up.
It started off at about £200 and has worked up very rapidly.
£8,000. Well, you know, I mean, the car's had a couple of modifications itself. It's got the alloys on, and I dare say there's some engine work being done to it, but you've got to admit that the system inside it overrides everything, really, doesn't it? And this is what it's all about.
That's what the car's all about.
And you're part of a team, I understand.
Yeah, we go around to the Sound Challenge Association events to show off the system for its uniqueness, for its quality, the installation.
So guys will come around the cars and judge your system?
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Are they qualified judges or something?
Yeah, they're the Sound Challenge Association judges.
Well, what are their systems like?
Usually they don't have one.
Oh, right, sounds fine. Well, the car's got a lot of twiddly bits and features now. What's some of your favourite ones that you could point out to us?
Very likely the toolkit.
Oh, that's cool. Let's check that out. Now, did you install that yourself?
No, I had a lot of help.
Ah, right, yeah. And would that be fair to say you've had a lot of help throughout the car?
Yeah.
Have you got any interest in installing stuff yourself?
I want to learn. I designed the system, but I had a lot of help installing it.
Well, talking about the system, let's see where the bulk of it lies around here. And this is, well, I'm always moaning about boot space and things like that, but I mean, that's just unbelievable. That is the boot, isn't it, basically? Can you tell us what's going on in there?
We've got 2 10-inch competition subs running off a 4-channel amp, also a pair of 6x9s running off the same amp.
And what does that actually help do?
Increases the power. The subs, you can't power off a head unit, you need an amplifier to power them.
It sounds like dangerous volumes, to be honest with you.
Very.
My goodness me. What's with the fizzy drinks can in the back there?
That's a 1 farad capacitor. It increases power supply when the bass really kicks.
So, so not every car with a big system will have this kind of thing?
No,
But
this is for the big boys.
If you didn't have that, what would happen?
Possibly the bass would sound a bit floppy.
Is that all? I thought you were going to say it would blow up or something. Well, I think it's only fair if we try and hear this monster in action.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Simon. Simon, that's absolutely awesome. What a great sound. I mean, loud, but great anyway. Thanks a lot for coming on, Simon.
Thank you.
Okay, I bet you've all been wondering where he is this episode. Well, he's out there somewhere. Who else? Lobo Castro.
Recently, I've shown you bikes with bits and pieces from all sorts of makes and models, homemade parts too. Now, there's different ways of calling these bikes. There's Streetfighters, factory Streetfighters, modified bikes, muscle bikes, all of them customised bikes. So I thought we could look at the different modifications you could do to your standard looking bike to make it a one-off Streetfighter. Today we're going to concentrate at the front, and who better to speak to than Nick Coulton from West Coast Motorcycles in Southport. And because he's a very knowledgeable man, I've come all the way from Pain to meet him. Let's hear what he has to say about it. Right, Nick, this is a Bimoto SB6. I mean, los cojones del perro.
Gracias.
De nada, hombre. How did you get along with this bike? Starting from the front, what modifications did you do?
We changed the whole front of the bike from the original equipment. GSXR 750 forks, magnesium wheels off a Bimoto race bike, 6-pot calipers, again off the Suzuki, a lightweight carbon fibre front mudguard, and a completely one-off front fairing cowl.
It's a very, very nice piece of kit.
Yeah, there's about 50 or 60 man-hours in that. It started life off as a KLE 250 trail bike, cowling, a Japanese-only thing. It's been completely remade out of carbon fibre. Some fairly bright FE2 lights also came in from Japan. We've built in the indicators as well. A lot of people don't put any bodywork on the front of the Streetfighters. I prefer something with a little bit of wind protection, and it also tidies the clock and the headlight area up. I mean, basically, a Streetfighter must be quite functional as well as finish well. A little bit of anodising here and there, decent quality fasteners, and just decent quality equipment, O-lings, Mavic wheels, stuff like that. Helps the job along quite a lot as well. But it doesn't work if you do something purely for aesthetic reasons, especially if it compromises the handling or the performance of the machine. And the last thing anyone really should do is to compromise the ability of quite competent motorcycles. A lot of people build Streetfighters out of GSXR 1100s and equally sorted out tackle. And you want your bike to look good, but it's got to go good too.
How did you start with this project?
Well, I build a bike every couple of years, generally to go to the Isle of Man on. I wanted to build a Suzuki Streetfighter, a big Suzuki again, but I wanted to do something a bit different.
Nick, definitivamente los cojones del perro.
Gracias, I think.
De nada, hombre. It is a very, very nice bike.
Yes.
Should we go for a drink?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Where should we go? Do you know somewhere over
Dos
here?
cervezas, por favor,
Dos
something like
cervezas?
that. Yeah.
You pay or yo pago? No, pago yo. Pago yo. Let's go. Thank you.
Personally, I'd end up a big hole in the scenery if I tried to ride one of those machines. It's nearly time for us to wrap up now, though, so get ready for the data blast.
Once again, I'd just like to thank Ian and Simon for bringing their machines along today. And do join us next week for some more Modifying Mayhem.
Bye.